Good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Eaton. I'm a second-year osteopathic orthopedic surgery resident at the York Hospital program in York Hospital, Pennsylvania. I had the privilege this morning of joining Dr. Terry Philbin, who's the president of the AOAO, who's here today to address some questions that some residents are having. So residents currently have lots of different questions these days and some anxiety, I think, about certification, about fellowship training, about how we are all going to be impacted by the Single Accreditation System. And today, the job of this webinar is to sort of answer those questions for everybody and calm some anxiety. So we're going to attempt to explain sort of how the AOAO fits into this and why it's an important organization for residents to join. We'll try to answer lots of questions. And at the bottom of your screen, there is also an icon that will allow you to submit questions that we'll attempt to answer live at the end of the webinar. We're not able to get to all those questions today. Answers will be provided and emailed to all members of the AOAO after this. So we'll get started.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Let's get it going.
Yeah, first question is sort of, what is the role of the AOAO? What's the role of the AOA? What's the role of the AOBOS? And what does it all mean for residents?
Okay, so kind of a four-part question, if you will. So the AOAO is an affiliate organization of the AOA, but really operates independently. So we have our own bylaws, our own finances, and a nonprofit status. So as an affiliate, the AOAO has the ability to nominate members, to serve on bureaus, councils, and our committees, and has one seat in the AOAO House of Delegates. The AOAO's vision statement is to be the premier nationally recognized orthopedic organization that represents osteopathic principles and beliefs while advocating for all orthopedic surgeons, their patients, and the communities in which they live. The AOAO strives to be really, and I love this, the home for all osteopathic orthopedic surgeons. Whereas the AOA accredits the Osteopathic CME, which the AOAO is the sponsor for, and is the certifying body for all osteopathic specialties. It is the AOA that issues the certification certificates for our education in CME. Whereas the AOBOS operates under the umbrella of the AOA and is the certifying board whose purpose is to develop and administer the certification, recertification, and subspecialty examinations. So that's a question I get all the time is people are asking what's happening with certification and what's the future of that look like. And even though we meet frequently, at least several times a year with our colleagues that are on the board of the AOBOS, that the actual certification is done through that arm and not specifically through the AOA, or the AOAO rather. So if we then look at what it means to residents, membership in the academy is free to candidate and resident members, as well as those who are still in their fellowship training. And one of the main goals of the AOAO is to offer education to all of our members, including residents. The AOAO meetings are not only offer education, but they also provide excellent opportunity for networking with our osteopathic orthopedic surgeons and a chance to assist medical students in their education. Meeting registration is significantly discounted for all residents and fellows. As well, the AOAO offers several opportunities in research funding, awards, and ways to fulfill scholarly activity. As an osteopathic orthopedic surgeon, it's really the one-stop shop for everything orthopedic. So it includes research funding, it includes monetary award and travel reimbursements for research recognition, the ability to submit for the orthopod for publication. Also the ability to get podium presentations at our 2 national meetings. Also opportunity to receive Osteopathic Distinction Award, Outstanding Resident Paper Award, and the Bob Green Award, which in many cases comes with a monetary award, and also the new research grant opportunities that's coming through the AOAO Foundation.
So what exactly does it mean to be a member of the AOAO? Does it provide us with benefits, any resources while we're in residency, but also while we're in active practice?
So the answer is yes, absolutely. For folks that are in active practice, there are sessions that we have at all of our meetings that are devoted to practice-related topics, you know, how to run the business of medicine, financial longevity, asset protection, and even physician wellness, which is really important nowadays with the physician burnout rate that we have in our country. Also, you get half off membership dues for first-year people in practice, as well as a free 1-year subscription to the virtual library, which includes 6 orthopedic journals, including JBJS. And members also receive discounted registration for all educational activities. Other benefits to active members is the Doctor Locator, which is a portal that helps prospective patients and other physicians find surgeons in their area. There's also the CME Tracker, which is where members can keep track of all the CMEs earned, whether you're osteopathic or allopathic, all in one location. Members may post under job opportunities if you're looking for a new job or you're looking to hire someone. Active members may also apply for the AOAO Award of Fellow. The AOAO's Award of Fellow program is a special designation that helps recognize members in their service to the AOAO and osteopathic profession, as well as their community and their hospital and their practice. And so it's something that's earned. It's not something where you just get extra letters on the end of your name on an email or something like that. It's something that is actually earned and means a lot. Also, resident and active members may join any of our specialty sections with the AOAO. Active members may serve on the specialty section boards, speak at educational sections, and serve as moderators to develop the educational sections.
So how does the AOAO help residents collaborate with one another? We're all in different programs scattered throughout the country. What is the AOA's role in helping us collaborate?
Well, the AOAO is really willing to assist with residents with collaboration through online forum, the listserv, which is already on our website, the AOAO website, at AOA meetings, town hall meetings that are via phone. And so AOAO leadership welcomes ideas for any collaboration like this. And just to give an example, I practice in Columbus, Ohio with a residency, and we have a fellowship. So I have the ability to mentor a lot of the residents in that program. But since the fall, when I became honored enough to become the president, I have a lot of residents that reach out to me to ask questions about, what does it take to get into a residency? And I get a lot of questions from residents that are looking to get into fellowship and asking, what are the best ways to get into a fellowship and how to compete against other residents and not just in foot and ankle in the fellowship that we have, really for any fellowship.
So what kind of groups and committees are available for resident participation? How do we get involved, and what can our role be in the AOAO?
Well, there are many opportunities. Residents may serve on the majority of AOAO committees, specifically the Resident Fellows Committee, the CME Committee, the Government Affairs Committee, and the Publication and Communications Committee, Strategic Planning Committee, and also Membership Committee. All members may volunteer through the AOAO website, which is, of course, AOAO.org, under the Groups and Committees tab, and look for Volunteer to a Service.
So the AOAO and the AOBOS are linked. Can you explain sort of how they're linked? What does being a member of the AOAO provide, and how do you become a member of the AOBOS, and sort of what is what's the benefit for certification?
So AOAO members serve on the AOBOS Director of Board of Directors, but we are completely separate organizations. So that's really important. As I mentioned earlier, I get this question all the time. So leadership from both organizations meet biannually to discuss current and future trends related to certification. As we know, this is a very important thing for the future. The AOAO offers educational activities for members at a significant discount that help with their certification and with osteopathic continuous certification. For example, the Osteopathic Orthopedic Board Review Course, which is something we started recently. This will again be held at the Las Vegas meeting. We'll offer an in-depth review for certifying exam and for recertification exam. And both exams will likely evolve in the coming years so that this may change and enhance. So definitely continue to watch for updates at the AOBOS website.
Great. So how is the AOAO promoting AOBOS certification to residents?
So to be clear, the osteopathic certifying exam is a product of the AOA and is developed and administered by the AOBOS. So that's kind of hard to put all that together, but we all work together in conjunction, but it's administered by the AOBOS and it's certified by the AOA. It's probably the best way to put it. So the AOA has made osteopathic certification a priority to all DOs and is heavily marketing osteopathic certification through their website and the AOBOS website. In all training programs, the trainees need to be informed so that they can choose to certify through the AOBOS or the ABOS. It is our hope that program directors of previously osteopathic accredited programs will encourage certification through the AOBOS. All questions regarding certification must be directed to the AOBOS, either through their website or by calling them directly. They will be available for questions at the annual spring meeting in Vegas.
So the ACGME website talks about osteopathic recognition for residency programs. What exactly does that mean? What's the role of the AOA sort of in that?
So osteopathic recognition is a designation conferred by ACGME Osteopathic Principles Committee upon ACGME accredited programs that demonstrate through formal application process the commitment to teaching and assessing osteopathic principles and practice at the graduate medical education level. This is a voluntary application process, and it is possible for a program to designate some or all of its resident slots as osteopathic recognized. The AOAO Board of Directors has a position statement to encourage osteopathic recognition and previously accredited AOA programs with the hope that their residents will certify through the AOBOS. So we definitely feel that this is an important thing.
Yeah. So I know that our program has applied for osteopathic recognition. It's meant a lot of good things for our program as far as different opportunities and lectures that we get, and even research opportunities. So
I think it's an important way to carry on osteopathic distinctiveness.
Absolutely. How is the AOAO involved in postgraduate fellowship offerings at all?
Well, now with the changes, the AOAO is no longer involved in fellowship offerings. All fellowship offerings must go through the ACGME moving forward. There is a list on the AOAO website under member resources that any member can search by specialty to locate all other members and have completed their fellowship training. So you want to look for the fellowship search.
Gotcha. What will be the relationship between the AOAO and the AAOS in this changing orthopedic environment?
Well, as I mentioned before, the AOAO leadership hopes that osteopathic residents would see the AOAO as their home. Part of the AOA strategic plan is to pursue collaboration with other orthopedic organizations. The AOAO currently collaborates with AAOS in areas of CME accreditation for MD conference registrants and advocacy through the AOAO Advisory Circle, which provides AOAO memberships the legislative updates and actions specifically related to orthopedic surgeons. We also are collaborating with the Osteopathic Orthopedic Association as regards to the Council of Orthopedic Residency Directors.
Gotcha. So how does the AOAO advocate on our behalf as residents for impactful legislature?
So the AOAO has recently partnered with AOS Orthopedic PAC Advisory Circle in order to have a positive impact on the issues that is affecting orthopedic surgeons and our patients.
So first off, I want to thank everybody for participating this morning. As we mentioned earlier, all the answers to the questions that we talked about are going to be submitted to and emailed to members of the AOAO. Questions may or may not have been flown in, which we're going to get to. But I have a question for you. Sort of, we talked about the meeting upcoming this spring. What kind of things can we look forward to as far as the meeting is concerned?
I think it's all the things that we've talked about previously. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for students, a lot of opportunities for residents, and great education. So I think it's basically all the things we've talked about. It's going to be an excellent meeting. Awesome. I think at this point we may have some questions from Dr. Van, who is our executive leader of AOAO. Do we have any questions?
No, we don't have any questions yet that have come in. So if you're watching, participating on the webinar, please submit your questions to us, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. One question I have is, can you each sort of give your background and how you came into orthopedic surgery and what it means to you to be an osteopathic orthopedic surgeon? Just sort of fill us in a little bit about yourselves, if you could, please.
Sure. Well, come from a family of physicians. My father is a cardiologist. His father was an OBGYN, and his father's a general surgeon. So it's kind of like ready to rock as far as medicine went. The reason I picked osteopathic school rather than allopathic school, I feel like my dad's like, he's an allopath, but he's like an osteopath, you know, sort of in true nature. The way that he interacted with his patients was always impressive to me. So I went to Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, and from the day that I got there, from the day that I applied, I knew I wanted to do orthopedics. I was lucky to have excellent mentors who had trained before me, who had sort of helped me get into the field of orthopedic surgery. And I was lucky enough to match the first time around at York, which is a great program, and looking forward to the future as far as that's all concerned.
Well, for me, I knew at a young age that I wanted to consider orthopedics. I had a knee injury as a kid and went in to see the team doctor for a high school. And, you know, after I left there, it was sold that's what I want to do. And so long story short, I went to college and eventually I applied for physical therapy school at Northwestern, and I got in and I was getting ready to attend there. And I was working as an orderly in an emergency room, and I met a guy who was a student at Chicago Osteopathic. And just talking to him, I got to know him over about a 3-month period. And finally he said to me, he's like, you're not going to be happy. He's like, you want to do orthopedics. You've always wanted to do that. And, you know, you might be selling yourself short if you don't see if you can actually make that happen. You know, even though I had, you know, I already was going to be going to physical therapy school. And so then at that point, I kind of started rethinking things. And it's interesting because his dad was one of the top general surgeons at the hospital I worked at in suburban Chicago. And he was a faculty at Loyola, and just said that what his son was doing at Chicago Osteopathic was revolutionary, and they just did a phenomenal job. And at that point, I didn't even really know what a DO was. And as I looked into it and I learned from him and his father, then I eventually, you know, went to Chicago Osteopathic and ended up, you know, doing orthopedics and all those kind of things. But if I hadn't met him and I hadn't talked to him, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. So it's amazing how just meeting a couple people in your life can change things moving forward.
We're getting a few questions in, so here's
All
one.
right.
Do you think resident scholarly activity at an AOAO meeting will help when applying to a fellowship?
I would say absolutely. You know, we have a fellowship in Columbus and foot and ankle, and you know, I think just the fact that people are involved and they're doing more to give back and to, you know, to be involved in research and working on that scholarly activity, I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in training myself, so I probably can't answer it nearly as well. What my senior residents have told me is the more research you have, the better. So I think so, absolutely.
Let's see. Let me go over a few of these and try to pick out some that are similar. It says, how important is it in your practice to incorporate OMM? And do you see the need for it in orthopedic surgery? So I suppose that OMM refers to the manipulative part of medicine. And you might also address the OPP part of it, just the principles of osteopathic medicine. Either one of you, both of you want to answer that?
So I would say, honestly, I don't use technically a lot of OMM in my practice. I don't do a lot of manipulation on my patients. But I would say certainly the training and what we learn to be able to do that, and the hands-on approach, and just the entire osteopathic way of, you know, you're not, in my case, you're not just treating a foot or an ankle, you're treating a person that has a problem with their foot and ankle. I think just that whole osteopathic philosophy and being able to diagnose by using what we learned in OMM, I think is extremely valuable.
Piggybacking on that, I think the philosophy is extremely important. I haven't obviously practiced myself, but looking at our attendings who do, our program director, Dr. DePasquale, always talks about OMT as another tool in the tool belt. as a way to help treat patients. Maybe, it's not always knives and hammers that treat patients, but sometimes it's other things as well.
We have a question here, and I'm not sure that it's really specifically related to the resident issue, but the question is our board review course well attended, and are we getting good feedback on it?
Well, to my knowledge, we've only done it one time. And I think we had pretty good turnout for the first time around. As far as your return on the investment for that, from a standpoint of those that sign up for it and then go and take their tests, I think honestly, it's just, realistically, it's too early to know that answer since we've only had it the one time. But I think that's something in probably a year, we'll have a good idea of how well it will continue to be attended and how well it's helped people prepare for board exams. But honestly, at this point, it would just be anecdotal that it's been, people have gone to it and spoken highly of it. But I don't know anybody that's actually taken their boards and come back and said that helped. But I think it's just too early to make that declaration.
Here's another question. I think you've hit on it a little bit in the early part of the discussion. Why is it important for residents to be members of the AOAO?
I think it's really important. It's going back when I was a resident, over 20 years ago when there was barely electricity or what have you. But anyway, I think back then they instilled in my program at Doctors Hospital in Columbus to get involved with the AOAO. And I think the importance of it is for students, we talked earlier, you can be involved in the SAAOAO. And I think for residents, it's a way to spend time with your other residents. It's time to get out and meet program directors. It's time to get a great education. I think it's about spending time, I keep talking about this whole philosophy of home. It's our home, and it's always been there for us. It will continue to grow and get better. And it's a chance for you to spend time with your family. Now that may sound kind of corny, but I really believe that. And you get to spend time with your fellow residents, people that you might be your program director in the future, and basically get a great mentorship while you're there for future endeavors.
Sure. I think collaboration is key, and the obviously benefits of the meeting are incredible. You get to listen to excellent lectures and attend skills sessions, and the board review course is good. But again, collaboration is key. The listserv that we talked about earlier is an important way to you can collaborate with co-residents across the country and consider things as far as research opportunities or publication opportunities through the AOAO, like we talked about earlier.
Here's a question for you, Dr. Eaton, maybe one of your fellow residents, who knows? What advice do you have for current fourth-year students on the audition trail?
Current fourth-year students on the audition trail. I think that's a good question. So I think we're going to send this webinar also to some students who will be listening. But for us, we just finished our interview season yesterday, actually. And I kind of tell all the students coming through that the most important thing, once you get an audition or once you get an interview, you're obviously smart enough to match into orthopedics. The things that I look at and the things that I think the rest of my co-residents look at is, are we able to get along with you? And like, to put it bluntly, can I deal with you for 5 years kind of thing? So somebody who is punctual, someone who is reliable, and someone who shows that they can work hard by whether it's reading for cases or whether that's preparing like a good presentation while you're on audition. I think that's the most important thing. Getting along with everybody and fitting into the group is just as important, if not more important, than what your scores on a board exam or on a shelf exam were.
We have another question. The question reads, as a resident, are the program directors at AOAO meetings working together to help all programs in collaboration efforts? I'm not sure that
I guess I can speak to what Dr. D has told us in that I'm not sure if this is about getting ACGME accreditation or osteopathic recognition, but I know that he speaks with program directors that he knows across the country in order to keep the programs that are currently functioning or were functioning under the AOA alive under the AC GME accreditation. I'm not sure if that gets to the answer or not.
Have anything to add, Dr. Philbin?
You know, I guess I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but I think at the end of the day, I would hope that program directors are working together collegiately and collectively to try to, you know, move forward all the things that we've been talking about, trying to, you know, continue our distinctiveness. So I hope program directors are working together collectively, not just for the betterment of their program, but the betterment of all programs. You know, for example, if a program was having a hard time becoming AC GME accredited, you know, that's where you can, you know, help out a program that's in need. You know, what did you do for that to occur? What are we doing wrong? So I would hope that, you know, that's happening between programs, and I've definitely heard that it has been happening. So.
All right. Any more questions coming in from the audience?
All right, so thank you again all for participating in our webinar. Again, the webinar link will be sent out to members of the AOAO. The questions and answers that we provided today will be sent out in written form as well. We're always happy, I guess, to answer any other questions that come in. So thanks again for taking time out of your day, and thank you, Dr. Philbin, for
Thanks,
coming
everybody.
as well.
Appreciate your time.